Um, Translations. These are your horizontal and your vertical translations. So just like with other things, I wrote it down here with H and K. I think your book uses C and D. I went ahead down here and I put a C inside there because once you start putting the B in there, it gets a little messed up. As far as on the outside, if I take something like sine of x plus a number, it does exactly like it should. It just takes it and shifts it up 4. So all this does is it takes your graph and it shifts it up 4 units.
This is basically like one thing.
Yeah. So we can keep calling that K just like what we did last semester with those. So K corresponds to vertical shift. So just like with everything else, if K is positive, it shifts up. If K is negative, it shifts down. So there's really no change with that. K is at the end, or it can come at the beginning. It doesn't matter. It's tacked on with a plus or a minus sign. I know last semester that was causing some confusion. Just remember, this can look like this also. That doesn't change anything. So K is the easy one. And when we go to graph it, again, really easy. It just takes and shifts our graph up. H is the one that's going to cause us a little bit of problem. Now, if H was all by itself, no issues. If I had just something like sine of x minus pi over 4, that'd be nice and simple. Remember, with being on the inside, we always do the opposite. So even though it looks negative, we actually shift to the right. So that would just shift me to the right pi over 4. And the reason is because in our formula, we have a minus sign there. So H is actually a positive number in that. Okay, so if that was it, that would be great. It's all well and good. But we're talking about amplitude. And we have this in all the other graphs. We just never went far enough to talk about this. But with this, we are. And that is what happens whenever we have something like this. Now what is my H? Pi over 16. Whenever you're doing this, to get your H, what you have to do is x has to be by itself. So you have to pull that 4 out. If you take 4 out of that, you have to take 4 out of the pi over 4. Now what we're doing is we're dividing, which means pi over 4 divided by 4 would be pi over 16. So that's why down here, whenever I was writing out this equation, I changed it to C in this equation because the number that's here isn't actually H. I actually have to kind of calculate H. H is equal to C divided by B. Because I have to take that B out of there first. Okay, so that's kind of how all of our translations go. Now, unfortunately, with our translations, we also have to deal with period as well. Okay, so let's do some examples. Again, if we can get through this, what I plan on doing is we'll go ahead and do 6-5 tomorrow, and then I can give you Wednesday as work time. Yeah. No. We're not going to have a quiz. And then Thursday we'll do 4. Let's see. Today's 4-5. Sorry, 4-5, 4-6 tomorrow. Wednesday I'll give you some work time to get to ask any questions, and then 4-7 would be Thursday. Friday and Monday would be review test on Tuesday. It's short. No reason prolonging the graphing.
Hey.
What?
Can I steal this? No.
It's not.
Are you going to be writing back on that?
Yes, this is the only unit for trig that we're graphing.
Sweet.
Whenever we get to unit 6, you're going to be drawing but not graphing. For the story problems, it's a huge deal that you draw your pictures. Yes, they have to be very artistic. Whenever they say draw an airplane, I want to see, World War II style propeller planes.
You really want to see that?
No.
Okay, sweet. I can steal this out.
Okay, so let's start through these. Try to start off slow, and then we'll get into harder ones. So just to, again, get into graphing a little bit, to remind you what we're doing. Okay, remember, whenever we graph, we kind of went through the 90-degree marks. So pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, 2 pi. And then normally wherever I'm graphing, I would go up to the 1 and down to the -1. So again, just to, oops, I put a 2 there. So just to, as a reminder, this is what sine would normally look like. Okay, so what does the 2 do? Shifts it up 2. So all it does is take my central axis right here and moves it up to the 2 mark. So it's like having my axis now right here. So I go through, put my marks on again. And there's my graph. Memorize. Part of it is your unit circle. And I know at pi over 2 sine equals 1. Pi. Memorize. There's mud. Because it all comes from your unit circle. Wait until tomorrow and you get 4 more of them.
4 more what?
Graphs. Now, the way I've kind of cheated at this before, well, I'll show you that in a little bit. Never mind. I'll show you how to cheat.
Wait, so like the other ones that are inverse, we go on the other side, like that?
What do you mean inverse?
Like, kind of like cosecant, that's the inverse of cosine.
Doesn't look anything like it. Okay. This one. Let me show you the graph again real quick. Okay, cosine at 1 or at 0 is equal to 1. Pi over 2 is equal to 0. Pi is equal to negative 1. Then 0, and then 1. So that's what one period of cosine looks like. Okay, here h is equal to what? Close. Negative pi. So that means I need to take each one of these points and I need to shift it to the left pi. So I take this point, shift it to the left pi. This point, take it and shift it to the left pi. This point, take it and shift it to the left pi. Likewise, likewise.
Igualmente. Oh my God.
So there would be our shifted graph.
How did I screw this up?
You just haven't gone far enough yet.
Huh?
You just need one more mark. You have to have 4 marks.
Okay.
This one? Okay. On the unit circle, whenever you have cosine, at 0, the ordered pair is 1, 0. Cosine is the x value of that ordered pair. So it'd be 1. Okay, put in my graph for sine. Again, I'm just doing this to help you guys visualize. I'm not expecting this on homework or that you guys do this every time. If it helps you to have the base function there, you could do this. I don't care. And I know for some people it does. I always get tests with a dotted sine graph there. That's totally okay. Especially when we start doing cosecant and secant, it may help you guys a lot to have that there. Okay. So what's my h value for this one? Pi over 4. Now, I didn't put pi over 4 on here, but where is pi over 4? Yeah. The pi over 4s are directly in between each of these points. So that means I'm moving each of these points over half a mark, or half a space. So that means this mark's going to move over here, here, so I guess it depends on how you drew out your marks, but you need to move over half the distance. Why did I put that dot up in the air? So there you go. Okay, so that's about as simple as we can make it. So now we get to move on to the fun ones. So we're going to start off by putting the period in there. Am I okay to move this? Stupid chair. I hate that chair. Okay, so with the period, what we did was we went ahead and we made our 4 marks, but we didn't label them because we knew that they were going to be changing. And then we went ahead and graphed, but I'm not going to graph because I also have to translate it. You always have 4 points. No, because we have to change our period. So we're not gonna have those 4 points this time. I mean,
like, are we ever gonna have like 4 points?
the in between numbers, no.
Oh, okay.
we're always going to use the ones and zeros. Okay, so let's start off with finding our period. So just as a reminder, period is 2 pi divided by b. So in this case, that's 2 pi divided by pi. So my period is 2. So I'm going to go ahead and label this. And then we'll put in our translation. So that'd be 2. To figure out what I count by, I count by my period divided by 4. So in this case, 2 divided by 4 would be 1/2. So I'm going to count by 1/2. So it'd be 1/2, 1, 3/2. Now, since I'm graphing sine, I'm going to go ahead and put kind of an intermediate graph in, just to show you guys kind of the steps. If you wanted to wait and put in the final graph, that's up to you. But at this point, if I was just graphing with the period, this would be my sine graph. And sometimes it's helpful to do it in steps, because if you're trying to do this all in your head at once, that's where you get kind of mixed up sometimes. Okay, now I need to take care of the translation. The translation, remember, to find h, I need to take this value and divide it by this. Because actually what I have in here, I need to have that x by itself. So I need to divide out that pi. So what is my actual h value? 1/2. Or if you want to try to remember it or memorize it with the letters,